Cool. Hi everyone. It's Jamie here from Only Game. Got myself and Matt, and we're going to go through our first watch along. So I've been looking forward to this all day to talk about some real footy, and we'll go through a bit of detail now. So for the first choice is Matt's. So Matt's got the privilege of choosing which game he'd want to watch along and talk about first of all, and I'm going to ask him the questions. So, Matt, do you want to just give us a bit of an intro into what you've chosen and the reasons why?
Yep, sure. So this is the 1986 FA Cup final derby. Obviously, Liverpool, Everton. Many memories around this time. I remember us obviously winning the FA Cup back in '84, FA Cup final, losing to Man United '85, and that successful period of winning the league and also the Cup Winners' Cup. But I suppose this '86 Cup final, I was 9 years old at the time, and it was probably when I really first started watching football, sitting down for 90 minutes of football rather than drifting in and out every couple of minutes. And although it didn't end well for Everton, it was just the whole day, the whole build-up starting on BBC One at 9 o'clock on Saturday morning, following the team buses in, interviewing supporters, the panel on BBC One, and even on the ITV days, knowing you had the Saint Greavsie as well. It was a family occasion, the FA Cup final, and this one, as I say, is the one that reminds me of my youth the most.
Good stuff. So what we'll do, we've got a couple of clips. One's a bit of the build-up. So Matt's memories and a lot around the build-up, which is obviously a lot different nowadays for the FA Cup finals, isn't it? And yeah, some great shots of the old Wembley. And then we've obviously got a little bit of a highlights package to go through for the game. Like we said, it's obviously Derby week this week. And my first choice is going to be a derby that we lost as well, funny enough, a different one. And then I was thinking, actually, since, as bad as it is, I'm 42. How old are you again, Matt?
47.
47.
Yeah.
As a percentage, it's probably not that many we've won, right? Since we've been alive, how depressing that is. And it's quite apt that it's Derby week, and we're choosing our first choice of both Derby losses. So for different reasons, obviously, rather memorable, but we'll get started here, but we'll go through we'll get started on this first on the build-up.
I hope the side scores early and opens the game up, because the longer it goes 0-0, more it's going to be tight packed.
Yeah, I mean, again, I think it will panic. It will go to the clip in a minute. There's some early clips. I don't know if you've seen it, but when they're outside the ground, the fans inside the ground helping fans from outside in by making ropes out of scarves. And that's something that stuck with me for forever. And it was probably, it was Evertonians helping Liverpudlians and vice versa.
Have you ever watched the film Two Tribes, Matt?
Yeah.
The film Two Tribes. That was on BT or TNT now, isn't it? But that's quite heavily featured in that. Because obviously, with the political scene and stuff in the mid-80s going at the time.
Yeah. And I think you look around Wembley, you'll see blue next to red. Back then, it very much was a family occasion when the Merseyside derby, and none more so than a Merseyside derby at Wembley.
What can win it for Liverpool? And it keeps boiling back to, he's
saying Hughes is on the panel, talking about
Andy Gray.
Was Andy Gray, was it?
Andy Gray was on the panel in the studio, yeah. I'm pretty sure it was Andy Gray, Terry Venables, and Emlyn Hughes. I'm pretty sure.
So, obviously, I was 5 at this point, so I've got some flickers of teletext football, right, and checking football scores and stuff at that age with my dad. But I can't physically, I'll be lying if I remember this.
for 20 years.
The first memory of football is '85,
And Everton over the last 2 years
but
have
I've
gone
got
through
no, I can't remember
as
this.
they said, they won
You
trophy
know, I
after
can't
trophy after
remember any of
trophy.
this.
And we've got our best two teams.
Some of these flags, just look how they're made. Just
as football's concerned, as Terry said,
Yeah.
you know, everybody looks
this year, man, just throw free zone.
it's the showpiece. And it's got to be a cracker.
But just look, you can't tell me that there's the capacity is not been broken there with the amount of people in there.
Yeah, definitely.
And again, it was the old Wembley. Did you ever get a chance to visit the old Wembley, Jamie?
Yeah, well, again, we'll come on to one of my choices further down the line, but the first time I ever watched Everton live was at Wembley, which is '89, which we'll come on to later at the time. But I went to Wembley to watch us before I went to Goodison. Brilliant. So I was 8 when I went to the first Wembley. So all them black caps, I had one of them, sort of like an '89 at the game, as well as one of them horrible inflatable bananas. I don't remember those. It was a couple of years later that came into the sort of like cup final. But the old Wembley, the new one, I know obviously, you know, let's face it, right? It's the same pitch. Obviously, everything's built around it, but nothing beats what this looks like. The old band in the middle of the pitch, and everything else. You know, it's just beats all the fireworks from my point of view, and the big sort of the crests and stuff on either side of the pitch.
And yet
it's still the only ground for me where I'll find it acceptable to have like a running track around. You know, there was probably a 50-yard gap between the goal and the stand behind the goal. And when you see most football grounds like that, it's like, you know, they're just so unappealing. But just look at that. Wembley then was magical. It was something that, however much they've tried to replace it with the new one, they just haven't managed to do it. It's just not the same.
When did you go to Wembley for the first time?
My first one actually was the 19. It wasn't actually my first trip to Wembley. Wasn't actually with Everton. It was in non-league football in 1986 for an FA Vase final.
Okay.
My first trip to Everton with Everton was '95.
So I only went.
Obviously.
I went 3 times. I went 3 times, and one was the weirdly 1991 FA Cup final, Forest and Spurs, and then I was Abide With Me. So I said earlier, didn't I? I thought Abide With Me was played when the planes came out. Weirdly, but it's not. It's played before.
No, it's not. No. But this was an occasion as well, as I say. I think everybody around my generation says the same thing. The whole family sat down for Cup Final day. And it didn't matter what the teams were, you sat down to watch the FA Cup Final. And Abide With Me was my nan's favourite song. She had played at a funeral as well. And it just brings back so many, lovely memories of being a child. These days were just the best.
I don't watch the FA Cup final much nowadays. It's not played anymore, is it? FA Cup finals, or am I wrong?
It's not what, sorry?
It's still played at FA Cup finals. Abide With Me.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it's still played. Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't watched it.
Yeah, but it just isn't.
I
don't know. It just isn't the sound. I mean, that flip there as well, by the way, for me was the main reason why we lost this cup final. Was not having Neville Southall in goal.
And also see the fences there as well. It's a bit.
Yes.
Remember how it was and stuff. This is 3 years before Liverpool, isn't it?
Yeah.
I do remember, like, when I first went in '89, we parked up quite a way away. But I remember walking around, and still now, I love seeing football stadiums and sporting.
It's where the players come from as well.
Well, there's a famous figure.
It's still, you know, there's still they lost that with Wembley when they moved it to the halfway line. It was still special seeing them walk out, you know. And I think I remember seeing a few interviews with players from back in the day. They said that noise when you walked up the tunnel from behind the goal at Wembley, you'd hear the noise. The further you got up the tunnel, the closer you got to entering it into the actual stadium and onto the pitch. Was just like it just got louder and louder and louder.
That was John Moore on the screen then.
Yeah.
So he's still majority shareholder. He's 90 there at the game.
This bit now, this was.
It's the goal nets with the old Wembley as well.
Yeah.
I remember having a Sabutio set and it was Wembley goal nets and also the scoreboard.
That's right. Yeah. I've still got Sabutio that's been passed down from the 1960s. Yeah.
I saw one. I walked past the charity shop the other day, and I saw like an old set, and I think it was like the one I had was like the 1982 one. There's the picture of Villa Park with Villa playing Watford, and I was like, Jesus,
there you go, Jamie. Sorry, the blue and red flags.
Yeah.
Merseyside United for Everton delight. These old flags, they're just like. I think they're trying to replicate a few of them now, and the Everton and Magic in the Gladys Street and that yesterday. The 1878s have been organised and a few knocking about like that.
Well, it looks like that. It looks like that, doesn't it? Wembley and all the different. There's those banners with like two on the side and obviously coming across the middle. There's that Everton as Magic banner, that green one. Just reminds me of this time. The refs.
Well, down there, they haven't had a chance yet to.
That Jim Rosenthal there? Yeah, that was Jim Rosenthal, isn't it? In the suit. Commentator.
It certainly increased since the players were on the pitch.
It is, yeah. And that was that. Who was the co-commentator there? Was that Andy Gray?
I didn't catch it.
I know he was in the studio.
Yeah, I heard him in the studio. And also, you talk about the mixing of the crowd. You just obviously you don't get that now. You wouldn't get that now.
No, you wouldn't even get it now. You wouldn't get it with any teams, and in Everton, Liverpool, the same. You just.
But you remember when again this time growing up, you always knew it as the friendly derby, right? Even when they were going like hammer and tong at each other for the league championships, FA Cups, etc. We won't talk about Euro, but it was still relatively friendly, wasn't it? But now it's just a lot more toxic now. But I think that's because there we go.
It's the one, yeah.
Trying to find a way of getting in.
Jesus. That is bonkers, isn't it?
I think he's made it.
Look at him.
But I did. I don't know if that thing will be on here, but I remember it.
Jesus.
And there's a fair few there as well.
I'd imagine you're scared in that lot, wouldn't you?
But it was like, it was. I don't know. It was just different then, wasn't it? It was like, this was probably one of very few games that were even televised back then. It was like it just meant more. Now Sky Sports have their 2-hour build up to every game that's on, talking about the Sky Six, of course, but they have the build ups to all the games now. Back then, if it was on telly, the programme would start 10 minutes before kick-off. FA Cup final day was the one day where they dedicated the whole day to the FA Cup final.
There's a great clip of the big match on ITV. I think it was like a title decider between Leeds United and Man United, and there was literally 30 seconds of pre-match and then straight to kick-off. Brilliant.
There was conversation as well, if you remember, about this Everton team, because obviously 85 the year before we missed out on the treble against Man United in the FA Cup final, but won the league and won the Cup Winners' Cup, and then he signed Lineker just before this, obviously going into this season. 85 and with 86 season, we won nothing. And if you talk to the players at Kendall had a slightly change in direction with how he wanted to play that season, being a lot more direct and relying on Lineker's pace.
And also,
it's small margins. We came second in the league and lost the cup final. To Liverpool, it could have gone the other way. We could have easily won the double, but he also says, Gary Lineker says in any interview that you see him, this was the best team he ever played for.
And also, even now with obviously the new Wembley, like, you just don't get any of this. The walk, the tunnel,
that's what I'm saying. Yeah, it's just not that. It's just
brilliant. You know, it's just like it screams kind of memories. It just it's not as much pomp and ceremony nowadays.
No, and it's that walk from the tunnel. And if you speak, the players, their memories, the noises are coming up the tunnel, and then you've got to walk out into the stadium, all the way across the pitch. It must have been some emotions that those players went through.
Imagine how it felt. Yeah, it'd be amazing, wouldn't it? Unbelievable. What I'll do now, Matt, I'm just going to put it onto the clips. Okay, no need to hear the national anthem.
No. Definitely not.
So obviously 7-minute clipped up. I think it goes from it's probably maybe 5-10 minutes into the game, and obviously goes through all the goals. Obviously, this is pretty painful for us. There's a few memorable goals in it, isn't there? Bit of controversy as well, and we'll get tracked on. But it looked again really warm day. Again, FA Cup finals. From my memory at this point, there's always a hot day. It always seemed to be. It looked about 30 degrees, and every time I can't remember it. I can't remember it raining.
I can't ever. That's funny you say that. That was my memories as a kid, and to be honest, I can't remember it up until now of it ever raining on an FA Cup final day.
Yeah,
like I said, the sun always seems to shine on FA Cup final day.
Yeah, it's probably because like me, you don't watch them anymore.
Yeah, that's it.
Just lost interest. Right,
beat down the last 10 years, but we've missed it.
Gives us a chance just to have a look at that.
That's the first few minutes.
He seemed very upset about it.
That'll be
GBH
GBH nowadays. Never mind a penalty.
Yeah.
Lineker, nice touch. Peter Reid. Back again towards Lineker. Lawrenson's long leg stretching out a corner.
And you think about the pace Lineker had back then. I never thought Lawrenson was that quick.
No, well,
Well, great kits as well. Great kits.
Oh yeah, it was one of my favourite. That kit.
It's one of my favourites as well.
Lots of Evertonians really don't like that
I
kit,
know,
but it was one of my favourites.
I love it.
Now Reid. Lineker off through the centre again. This is promising. Lineker for Everton. Saved by Bobola. Lineker. 1-0 to Everton.
And that commentary for me is iconic. The only reason for that is that the only thing, again, going back when it's sort of like 8, 9, 10, was I had the history of Everton, a football club on VHS. And this was part of the clip, or this part of the game. And that commentary, even now, just takes me back to watching, because there's no Sky, no social media, nothing like that. All I watched was and I've still got it. I've bought it on DVD as well, since that. But that commentary.
We should have won.
Yeah, probably not as obvious as the year before against United, because we battered them and lots of them came in.
And Sheedy.
That team.
Well, it was
something else, honestly.
In front of him, there's no doubt about that.
I saw this club at the local golf club a few months ago, randomly.
You saw that? Say it again, sorry.
Bruce Grobbelaar played golf at a local golf club in Liverpool, where I was at.
Yeah, right, okay.
Brandon Howe, play on again. Lineker through the centre. Hansen trying to cover, and this time he does.
Hansen got hardly any catch for
Not quite
Scotland
sure what
as well,
Lineker's
didn't he?
doing to his
Ridiculous.
potential transfer value here. There have been stories in the paper about Barcelona. Forward
Oh,
with
even there was another clip I saw, you know, when we were going through this earlier,
Here's Whelan.
and it's from Saint Greavsie, and at the end of it,
Ian Rush, goal.
see, do you want just going back to that? Sorry, do you honestly see that happening if Neville Southall can go?
Has equalised.
Also, I think the build-up did he nutmeg that Mountfield? He was sticking Mountfield's
Yeah, I
legs,
just think Bobby Mins as well. He just sells himself.
Straight through Mountfield's legs as well. Yeah, Mulby.
But there, Bob, I don't see him going round Southall like that. But yeah, it was Greavsie makes reference to at the end of like they're doing an interview with Gary Lineker, and he makes reference in the interview. This is before the cup final.
And a fine save by Grobbelaar.
Makes reference to Gary Lineker going to Barcelona in a joke, and Gary Lineker's response is "Heck."
He beat his own goal.
And it's like, imagine that now. Imagine a meltdown now just before a cup final, and in a TV interview, one of the players gets basically the biggest clue ever that you're leaving and going to another team before the cup final.
With the goalkeeper this time.
Just looking at the minutes of the goal, so Lineker scored on 27, and Rush was 57, so it was only just over half an hour to go at 1-0.
Yeah. And we had chances.
Yeah. Well, that save from
Grobbelaar's
made
he's made a good save there.
Reaches up, so is Mulby here. Dalglish, no Johnston, yes! 2-1 to Liverpool.
Jay Johnson invented the Adidas Predator.
What a turnaround.
So this was on 63rd minute.
Mulby makes another.
And this is only 6 minutes after they equalised.
Johnston could.
During the league. And obviously, also leading up to this, right? So they won the double, didn't they?
Stevens chipped the ball inside.
But we should have won the league as well.
Yeah, no,
we were so far ahead, and obviously they had an unbelievable run towards the end of the season. But we could have quite easily been us winning the double.
So people were very critical of like Kendall's style of football this season, but it literally could have easily gone the other way, and we could have won the double. But I think it was easy to be critical because we did so well the year before, and then obviously won the league the year after again as well.
Still young Mulby, he's through. Oh, good block.
Standards were totally different, wasn't it?
That must have kept Everton in the final.
Another player.
But it's hard to explain, but this hurt differently at that age.
With the header.
Did it?
You know, like, I get right. You know,
Rush.
You know, you're in tears. I remember being in tears pretty much all night. Whereas now, obviously, if it happened now, you'd be with your mates and you'd be upset, you'd be angry. But you'd just get the pub and you'd spend time with people who were feeling exactly the same. But back then, it was just, I don't know, it was just
from that goal. I always remember from that goal, it was knocking out the camera in the corner. Weirdly.
Yeah,
that's it. Again, from all the clips and stuff that we saw over the time.
Liverpool delighted.
Ronnie
Whelan
upset.
involved in the move.
It's this camera angle.
It's this camera angle.
Yeah.
Takes out the camera. Yeah, smash. Just again. I think that was probably from watching that video over and over again of that goal. That was only 3 minutes from time when he scored.
Their player manager Kenny Dalglish.
Sorry, 6 minutes from time.
Only the third.
But you know. It's still as much as like if you look back now, as much as it hurts at the time. Everton and Liverpool, Merseyside dominated English football.
86, Liverpool's double. They were deprived of the double by Wimbledon last year. Can they do it this year and make history by becoming the first club?
There's Lynham, the legend.
legend that was dead. Yeah, that again was FA Cup.
Yeah, it was, and yeah, it's just being, you said they obviously brought you to tears at that age. It's just I can't remember. I think I can remember the first time I cried. I think it was a couple of years after that. I think it was the '89 Cup final when Liverpool beat us 3-2. I remember. Then again, I'm sure that'll be one of my picks at some point because I remember being at family holiday in Tenby, I think I was, and listening on the radio.
Yeah, I have a different feeling on that one. That I've never felt like we were going to win that cup final ever.
Yeah.
And I don't think
written in the stars it wasn't.
It almost felt right that we didn't win it as well. And I know, that might sound odd, but it was just everything that had gone on, obviously, with Hillsborough, and I was never that upset about us losing that cup final.
No, yeah, exactly. No, absolutely not. It's amazing that because you're obviously 4 years older than me. Again, with the Hillsborough thing, I was 8, and I remember having a recollection of it because obviously Everton were playing at Villa Park at the same time against Norwich.
Yeah,
and I kind of have a vivid remembrance of it, and sort of stuff that's happened, but not really a true understanding of what had happened. There's all the aftermath and obviously the flowers and the wreaths on the cock. And obviously I remember watching, I think it was on a Friday night, the first time Liverpool played after Hillsborough was, I think it was a Friday night game at Goodison, and it ended up being 0-0. And I remember I sat down and watching that. I think it was a Friday night. It was really weird, wasn't it? Because it was the first game back, and it was a strange day for a game. But again, that might be one of the choices we watch. Again, that was very emotive.
It was one of them. I didn't go to. I wasn't at Everton semi-final then. Obviously, a bit too young then to be going on my own and having no family support Everton. It was like you couldn't just take yourself off. So, but I remember it's the same as like people say. They remember where you were when JFK was shot and when the World Trade Center was hit. Exactly the same with Hillsborough. I remember sitting at home with my mum watching Grandstand. And they were breaking on Grandstand, and they reported it initially as, if I remember right, as crowd violence. And then obviously it started to come through exactly what had happened, and it was just like, again, it was another one of those moments in life where you just go, wow, this shouldn't happen.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's probably apt that obviously the anniversary last week, wasn't it? And the derby on Wednesday. Obviously quite close to that game, so I'm sure there'll be something going on at Goodison on Wednesday. Cool. Well, that was a good first choice there, Matt. But I'll just have a double think of what I'm going to choose for my first one. I suspect it is going to be a derby again, but
another defeat.
Another defeat, but for different reasons. So I won't divulge all right now, but it will be for different reasons. I'll share in a bit more detail, but it was the first ever trip to Goodison. That's going to be my first ever. And it happened to be a derby, which is unbelievable. But I've got a bit of backstory about how it came to be that game and who I went with, etc. So, the first FA Cup game at Wembley, even though we lost, is it's no longer as painful watching that now as it has been. No. But it was good to go back through it anyway and stir a few memories. Brilliant. All right, cool. Well, thanks everybody. Nice one, Matt. We'll get another one. We'll get another one soon. And thanks to anybody who's watching this. Fair dues. We just like to do it for a bit of fun. And we'll have other people join us to discuss their stories and memories and matches and watch-alongs as well. So thanks everybody, and hope you enjoyed it. And see you soon.
Cheers. Enjoyed that, mate.